Hey there! Today we're going to have a look at this pen. This pen was lent to me by Murray, my main man Murray. This is a Stipula, but it's a special Stipula. It's the Inverno model. And one thing that's very interesting about it is that it is a safety filler, really. So, in other words, when you uncap it, there is nothing. But it has a nib that comes out as you turn the end of that pen. I have to be a little careful because earlier I did that the wrong way. You fill this type of pen. It's a very old filling mechanism. It goes back quite far in history. You make sure that the nib is withdrawn, and then you drop ink into the barrel directly with an eyedropper. It's a fascinating system. And again, it's been around for a long time. So I'm going to cover the parts of this pen. I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Let's get started. The Stipula Etruria d'inverno, winter. I'm going to be blunt and say that I could not find an awful lot of information about this pen online, and that may have been my fault. It is a celluloid, a blue celluloid, which has nice striations. I'm trying to make it capture the light, so that is, celluloid's always nice, right? Fun material. Usually with Stipula, these the center band, the trims are silver. I'm assuming this is no exception. There were 599 of these pens. This is number 83, and I found one online for $550, so I'm going to use that as a guideline price, which seems pretty fair to me given the price of Etrurias and Stipulas typically. It is an 18K nib, and it is a fancy filling system. Which is not my favorite filling system, but you turn the barrel, sorry, I should hold it there. You turn the barrel and then the nib comes out. You turn the barrel the other way, put ink with an eyedropper into the barrel, and then you can write. A safety filler, and this is a mechanism that's been around for a long time. You find that on vintage pens for sure. The original Kaweco Sports were safety fillers, for example. 18K nib, this is a medium. I've always liked the Stipula nibs. They're pleasant to write with, but they also look nice. We have a plastic feed, a pretty long section because it has to be able to take in that nib, right? And then we have the barrel. The barrel has a blind engraving that says Stipula Etruria d'inverno, 83 out of 399. And did I say 599 earlier? Yeah, that's what it said online. This says 399. That's an error. This is why you shouldn't believe what you read online. And it says made in Italy. Don't turn these things when the nib is out. Don't do it. Okay, then we have the cap. Cap has a clip that is pleasant, not too loose, not too tight. And what I've always really liked with Stipula is that it has those little leaves on them. It just looks refined to me, and I've really always enjoyed that. Pleasantly sized pen, right? Does post if you want to. If you don't want to, some people get very nervous doing that with a celluloid pen, so I was very careful. Now I'll take it off. It's a large pen, not so much girthy, but it is certainly very long. Okay, let's have a look at how it writes. And before we do that, I completely forgot to show you this pen right next to a Pilot Metropolitan. Pretty close in length, but the Etruria is girthier. Okay, let's hope I didn't get all the ink out. Medium 18K, and the ink is watermelon blue. Okay. It's an interesting writer. I always almost find that a bit italic. Smooth. Very interesting. Nicely balanced, not too wet, not too dry, I would say. And like I said, there seems to be some natural line variation to this nib. I don't know if sometimes, I know Murray has things ground. He didn't say anything about that here. What else do we have? We have springiness, as always, very careful. It's expressive nib. And then we have reverse writing, which you get away with a couple words, but then I think it's going to run dry. Overall, fun pen, fun filling system. So let's talk about what I like and what I don't like about this pen. What do I like? What do I not like about the Stipula Etruria d'Inverno? I think there are a couple of things to be said for it. The Etruria model I've always liked. I think it's a comfortable pen model for many people. I know this is always a stupid thing to say, but it's not too large, not too small, so a nice size that works for a lot of people. I found a fairly slim section, which is pleasant to hold. In this case, a very long section, so you definitely have enough to hold on to. Celluloid is always nice. It's a nice material because it looks, from a distance, it kind of looks black. Once you get pretty close to it, though, you see that there actually are striations in it, which I think is very nice. Safety filler is a nice filling mechanism. It's certainly something different from the ubiquitous cartridge converter or even captive converter. Downside is, and that's an immediate dislike for me, it's a finicky filling system. I've had, I don't know if I did something wrong, but a lot of ink came out the back and it's all over my hands. So with that sort of stuff, it's fun to use, it's fun to play with, but it's also a bit more complicated. What I have found over the years of using fountain pens is that initially I got very drawn to piston fillers. Piston fillers are very cool. They're harder to clean though, unless you can disassemble them, and you cannot disassemble every single pen. Sometimes parts get glued in place or something. It's not easy to disassemble everything. So what I've come to appreciate is that converters are very easy to clean. Yes, the capacity is a little lower in ink, but they're very easy to clean, and I find that a very important point, easy to fix. If anything in the converter breaks, sometimes you have that sort of like the sort of nipple plastic bit at the end that can crack. Okay, then you buy a $5, $10 converter and your pen is good to go. A mechanism like this has quite a lot of moving parts and they're not necessarily easily accessible, and if you don't really know what you're doing, I certainly don't know what I'm doing when it comes to safety filler repair, you would have to send off that pen to a repair person to get that fixed. I'm not saying that it would break, but I mean the reality is things can break, right? So it's a bit higher maintenance, there's more upkeep. And one thing to always remember with safety fillers is that they're built in such a way, right, that you cannot cap them with the nib out. And sometimes people forget that, especially when it's not your pen and you pass it around at a pen meet or something and they just cap the pen and the nib is bent out of shape, right? Now, of course, that's a very extreme example to give. That wouldn't happen all the time, but these are all things to consider in my mind when you are about to purchase a pen like that. Even for myself, I think I would be able to forget at some point that this is a safety fill pen and just sort of absent-minded try to put the cap in place. So just saying, this is something that I like a little less about that particular pen. It is a nice writer, beautiful large nib. I love all that. I think the price, I saw them online here and there for about $550, that's US. I think that's a fair price, limited edition pen, celluloid, fun filling mechanism, all that. I don't think that's exceptional. in a bad way as a price. But yeah, it's a more exotic filling mechanism, and that's not for everyone. So thank you to Murray for lending me the pen. I hope this was useful. If you have a pen, let me know. I would very much like to know your opinion on safety fillers with retractable nibs, because I've reviewed one or two over the years. It's always interesting. Let me know what you think, and that's all that's to it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back soon with another fountain pen review. Bye.